Hello, and welcome to Everything Dies, a podcast covering miniature games of all shapes and sizes. My name is Jake, and today we're going to be looking at Malifaux, specifically the top 10 best enforcers in the Outcast faction. Now, the good thing about Malifaux, the great thing about Malifaux, the amazing thing about Malifaux, is that you get so much information before building a crew. You know what the strategy is. You know what the scheme pool is. You get to see what faction your opponent has declared. You get to see what master your opponent has declared before you choose your crew. And so, when making any definitive rankings for this game, it's impossible because it depends on the strat, the schemes, the faction you're playing against, the terrain, the table, all sorts of things. Is it a tournament? Is it a friendly game? I'll be looking at these from the viewpoint of in tournaments, competitive play, and I'm going to be looking at them from a general all-comers viewpoint. We're currently in Gaining Grounds Season 1, or Gaining Grounds 1, whatever it's called. And so everything I talk about is going to be with those strats and schemes in mind in those current updated models. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the enforcers from the Outcasts. Number 10 is Big Jake from the Mercenary keyword. Now, hear me out. Let's start with the good. He has Don't Mind Me. He has Battle Tempo, which lets him push 2 inches in the start phase. He has Flurry for an additional attack. He has a great bonus action, Consult the Ancestors. You need a 6. Look at the top 2 cards of this model's Fate deck. Then for each card, place it either on top of its Fate deck or in its discard pile. So you can craft your hand with that. He has an 8-inch ranged attack, 2/3/4 damage. He has a 1-inch melee attack, 2/3/4 with crit strike, or you're coming with me for some positioning. Now let's go to the bad. He's gonna die. Defense 5, willpower 4, only 5 health. The thing they built into him because they know he's gonna die, is unexpected return. So, what do I like about Big Jake? Why do I put him in this list? Those things I listed, he is a great scheme runner. The extra movement from Battle Tempo, being able to become unengaged during the start phase so that he can then make walk actions to get away. He can interact whether he's engaged or not. So if you're playing Recover Evidence and a corpse token drops but they're surrounded by enemies, he can still interact and pick it up. Same with Symbols of Authority. Any of the schemes where you need to drop scheme markers, Sabotage, Leave Your Mark, spread them out. He's able to do that with Don't Mind Me. Battle Tempo lets him get that movement. But if he dies, he can't do anything. Unexpected Return says, during the start phase of turn 5, if this model was hired into your crew and is no longer in play, summon Big Jake into base contact with the friendly model. The summon model may take the interact action this turn. So that's supposed to be your insurance. Big Jake died. You're able to bring him back in the last round of the game, and he's able to score you some crucial last round points. Sounds great, right? But in tournaments, right now, and probably in the future, we're not getting to turn 5. We're not seeing the start phase of turn 5, let alone getting activations into turn 5 in the majority of tournaments, here in the States anyways. So that doesn't help you. I recently listened to Third Floor Wars Tabletop Talk podcast. It was the Path to Podium 2019 Charlotte Malifaux Tournament. And they had a great podcast. Check them out. I'm sure if you're a Malifaux person, you already do. If you're one of the Everything Dies crew and you want to get into Malifaux, highly recommend checking out Tabletop Talk. But in this podcast, they discussed the length of Malifaux games, and I thought the one gentleman had a great idea of Malifaux shifting from a 5-round game, 5-turn game, where you don't score round 1, to being able to score points round 1 and only being a 3-round game. It would bring the time down considerably. More games would actually come to a finish. There would have to be some adjustments in the strats and schemes, some of the scoring, wording, but I think that'd be doable. And then with somebody like Big Jake, if his unexpected return said during the start phase of turn 3, or even during the start phase of the last turn, or of any turn, if you could choose a turn to bring him back, but it's only once per game, he would be much more usable, much more available as a scheme runner. As he is now, though, he only costs 5 points, so that's 6 out of keyword. He's one of the better scheme interactors in the game with his Don't Mind Me, his battle tempo. He can fight when he needs to, having Flurry, having an attack with 2-3-4 with Crit Strike. It's not built in, but you get lucky. And with Consult the Ancestors, you can modify your deck a little bit, see what cards you're going to get. You could do that at the beginning of his turn, or you could set up a defensive turn for the next time around at the end of his turn. So that's my number 10, Big Jake. Number 9 is coming from the Free Corps faction. It is Lazarus. Lazarus costs 9, so 10 out of keyword. He's defense 5, willpower 6, move 4, size 3. He's got armor 2, unyielding, bodyguard, and then a grit, elimination protocol, which is, while this model has half of its maximum health or less, it may treat its projectile actions as bonus actions with 8 health. On the back of his card, he has bayonet, 1 inch range, stat 6. The big thing on that is the placement ability on the mask, pull. Place the target within 5 inches of its current location, not engage with this model. Another friendly model within line of sight of the target may take a projectile action targeting it. The big thing he's bringing is his grenade launcher. It's a range 10. He needs a 6. This action ignores line of sight. Shockwave 2. Defense 13. Damage 3. He also has a bonus action to heal Juggernaut. He has another bonus action, Assimilate. You can read it there. We're not really going to get into that, because I think Lazarus is a very specific hire. With his high cost, you are hiring him, 1, if you're going up against Obey crews, because of unyielding. When this model would take an action outside of its activation, its owner may choose for it not to. So that removes 1 target for your Obey enemy to go after and try to have you attack your own models with, or drop ski markers in the wrong places and all that other stuff. Now, he also could fill a gap for, say, the Victorias, who are kind of a squishier crew, bringing that armor 2, bringing bodyguard, so a 2-inch aura of cover, which includes him. He can be a bulwark in the middle of your force, or help out those close to him. And that grit, when he gets to half health, he just becomes a cannon, because that's the next thing you bring him for, is that grenade launcher. If you're going up against crews that are not easy to hit traditionally, if they have terrifying, if they have built-in concealing or built-in negatives to hit, that grenade launcher, you don't care about any of that. You ignore line of sight, and boom, you're just dropping a shockwave 2. So that's a big area. That's about 5 inches total. And everybody in that area is just taking defense 13 duels, damage 3. On its trigger, crow trigger, it can also remove scheme markers. So, but you're not going to take him into scheme marker heavy games. I believe you're going to hire him for recover evidence, public enemies. He's slow. If you have movement shenanigans in your crew, you could use those to help him get up. But you really just want to get him into position and have him just fire off grenade launcher shots. And then if he does get some attention, or maybe even you attack him yourself and do a little bit of damage to get him to activate his grit, firing off 3 of those shockwaves a turn, that would be a bad time for the enemy. Scheme, so yeah, if you could get him, let's say claim jump is in the pool with unyielding, you're not going to be able to walk him out of there or obey him out of there. He's going to have cover regardless of the terrain or not. He's going to have armor 2 and he can just sit there, heal himself, and shoot grenades at you. If you do come and get in his face to try to deny the claim jump, he can trigger his pull on his melee to throw you 5 inches away from him. But besides the attacking strats, besides claim jump, you're not really, I don't think you're going to get a lot of play out of him. So that was number 9, Lazarus. You guys are going to think I'm crazy on this one, but hear me out. Student of Conflict, from the Mercenary keyword. She only cost 4, so even out of keyword, she's only 5 soul stones. She's got defense 4, 5 willpower, move 6, so she's fast as hell. Size 1, she can hide behind anything. She has battle tempo, which lets her push 2 during the start phase, so you add that to her move 6, she can cover 14 inches easy in one round. The big thing here, how many schemes involve dropping a scheme marker? Well, let me tell you. There's breakthrough, there's sabotage, there's leave your mark, research mission. A lot of times for one of those markers, it's going to be a scheme marker. Spread them out, runic binding, and what the Student of Conflict has is subterfuge. When an enemy scheme marker would be dropped within, I always get these messed up, Aura 6, not Pulse, Aura. Shit. Whatever, Aura 6. This model may discard a card. If it does so, a friendly scheme marker is dropped instead. So all of those schemes I just listed, she can single-handedly shut down including her base size, a 13-inch radius diameter. I'm not a math whiz, alright? But she can just shut down the enemies dropping any scheme markers in a 13-inch circle around her. It is, 12 around her. You know what the fuck I'm saying. It's crazy the amount of stuff she can shut down. I had a game with Leave Your Mark, and I scored points off that by her just being close. I didn't even drop any schemes. The enemy, and I told my opponent, I said, hey, she has this rule, just so you know. He said, okay. But he hasn't played her against her a lot, and so he ran up there. He dropped a marker, and I said, you know what? I'm going to discard a card. That's my scheme marker now. Thanks for the points, buddy. The back of her card, nothing special. She's got a melee attack that ignores armor. The big thing here, so 1, she's going to be denying your opponents placing scheme markers or even turning them into your scheme markers within this large bubble. But then she also has covetous cravings. 6-inch range. She needs a 6 for it. Discard a scheme marker. So boom, right there is even more enemy scheme marker denial. Discard a scheme marker within 6 inches in line of sight of target friendly model. The target gains fast. So she's removing your opponent's scheme markers, or your own if you need to give an ally fast. She's also denying the enemy placing those scheme markers. That's pretty much what she does. She's got, I've got your back if you gotta get somebody out of cover. But that's it. She's cheap, and she can shut down quite a few schemes. So that is number 8, Student of Conflict. Number 7, I'm going with the Nothing Beast. He costs 9. He is expensive. Out of keyword, he's going to cost you 10 soul stones. He's out of the obliteration keyword, and he's much better in his keyword than out of it. But I do still think he has some play outside of keyword. He has good stats. Defense 6, willpower 6, move 6. Those are all higher than average. He's a size 3. He's got 8 health, and when you combine that with Terrifying 11 and Incorporeal, he can be an issue to get off the field. So some of the the reason he's not higher on the list though is because playing him out of keyword, some of his stuff is just considered blank. Time is meaningless when performing opposed duels with enemy models with fast. This model receives a plus to its duel. That's great in keyword because you want your enemies to have fast, but if you're not playing a crew that inherently gives itself fast, the enemies don't, that's not going to help you. Now, Beyond Time can be useful. A couple popular masters deal with burying. So Beyond Time, this model may target buried models with actions, ignoring range and line of sight. So if you're playing Dreamer, who is all I played for months, oh god, that was painful. If you're playing, I believe, Colette, I believe she deals with burying. So you can tech him into these crews that like to bury and have him go after their buried stuff. From nothing, at the start of this model's activation, if it is buried, which I don't believe he has a way to bury himself, so that's just another one that's blank if he's not playing in his crew. Now we flip over to the backside, and so Terrifying and Incorporeal, he's going to give you some sustainability. He's going to give you some defensive tech. So once again, if you're playing a Squish Your Keyword, if you're playing the Vix, if you're playing Hamlin, and you say, you know what, I want something I can throw at the enemy, and they're going to waste a lot of cards, a lot of AP to get rid of, this guy can be that with his Terrifying, his Incorporeal. Now, we look at the back of his cards. He's also giving you a Min 3 beater with a range 2, with a stat 6 that targets willpower, not defense. So that's interesting. The damage track is 3, 4, 6. So he can really tear in to certain crews that maybe otherwise they have high willpower. That range 2, you can touch them before they touch you. Stat 6 is good. But once again, the triggers, I mean, with the Tome, Glimpse the Void, you can bury something and then it unburies next to an enemy model. Be careful with that, because depending on what you're playing, they may want that reposition. Leeching Strength is only against buried models, so if you're not playing somebody that buries, you're not going to be getting the benefit out of it with him out of keyword. Once again, if you're playing him in keyword, you're just burying the enemies all day. Stutter Time, it's a bonus action. You're giving an enemy model fast. You can read it right there. Range 6. Stat 5, willpower, target number 10. If the target is an enemy model, it gains fast. If the target is a friendly model with the From Nothing ability, it is buried. So once again, out of keyword, that's almost a blank bonus, because you don't want to give them fast because you don't have enough to take advantage of it. But he still does have an excellent bonus action he can use instead, Storm of Shadows. It's a 3-inch. We've already gone over it. I have drank too many delicious Michigan microbrews tonight to remember if that is called, I believe it's an Aura. It's Aura 3, stat 6, target number 10. So you only need a 4. Until the end phase, models within range have concealment. Now that's amazing because he's on a 50 mil base, so if my math conversions are right, that is about an 8-inch circumference that he is giving concealment to. Now be careful. It doesn't say friendlies. It just says models within range have concealment. So between his ability to just be a Min 3 beater, going after willpower instead of defense, his ability to be just a bugger to get rid of with Terrifying 11 and Incorporeal, and then that concealment, that huge concealment aura, that's why I give Nothing Beast the number 7 spot. Number 6 is Hans. He's simple, but he does something very well. Hans cost 8. He's versatile, so he's going to cost you 8 no matter what crew you take him in. He has defense 4, willpower 6, move 4, size 2. Now, the biggest disadvantage to him is that slow move, I think, but with what you're using him for, it won't bother you too much. Hans has 8 health. He's disguised, so he cannot be charged. He cannot be the target of actions generated by the charge action. Advanced Sights. This model's attack actions ignore concealment and friendly fire. And when you add that to his Clockwork Rifle, which ignores cover, Hans ignores every negative modifier to projectiles currently in the game. He's Ruthless, one of the few models in Outcast that has Ruthless. He ignores Terrifying and Manipulative, and he's a Sniper. When this model takes a projectile action, it may lower the value of its focus condition by 1 to treat the action as having plus 10 inches of range. Well, let's flip him over and take a look. That Clockwork Rifle, range 14. So if you burn that focus to increase the range, it goes up to 24. That's the majority of the table there. It's a stat 6, resist defense. As we said, it ignores cover. It has a 2-3-5 damage track, so not crazy. But then we look at the triggers. And before we go there, let's look at his bonus action. Reference the field guide. You don't even have to flip a card. He just gets to do it. Discard a card until the end phase. This model adds the suit of the discarded card to its final duel totals. So if you need him to, he can be a min 3 beater with crit strike. He can let you gain pass tokens if you're really fighting for initiative. He can put staggered out there, so he blends in great with a Jackdaw crew, putting staggered 24 or 14 inches upfield. And then he can also just give slow, which is just one of the better conditions to put on enemies, taking an AP away. It works on masters, it works on anybody else. It's great. Now, so that's basically what he does. Hans shoots. He does whatever trigger you need from him. He's able to build that in as long as you have the card to discard. Let's talk about Warning Shot a little bit, though. It's a 14-inch range, stat 5 resist defense, target gains distracted 1. Now, that's not great, but you could also, with the Crow trigger, you can give him 2 damage, but I think the more important thing here is daze. Target gains stunned and is pushed up to 3 inches in any direction. So that's 14 inches from Hans. Ignoring, this one doesn't ignore cover, but ignores friendly fire and concealment still. And you are able to stun and push an enemy up to 3 inches in any direction. That's huge for take prisoner. It's huge for claim jump. It's huge for any of the stuff. Let's say somebody's in position to grab a strategy marker, either for symbols of authority or recover evidence. Corrupted ley lines, able to push somebody off of that strategy marker so they're not scoring that round. I think Warning Shot also has quite a few uses in a lot of games. But yep, that's Hans. He's going to stay back somewhere at least 14 inches away, and he's going to either put damage or negative conditions or move the enemy crew and do his thing. Number 5 is another model. You guys are going to think I've lost my mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. And you would be right, but it's Johan Creedy. He costs 7. He's in the infamous keyword, but he's versatile, so he's going to cost you 7 no matter what. Now just give me a chance here. So Johan, he's defense 5, willpower 5, move 4, size 2. Everybody says move 4 sucks. He's too slow. He doesn't get anywhere. Well, they added rush to Johan. When this model takes the charge action, increase the distance it pushes by up to +2. So if you charge and walk in an activation, you're moving 10 inches, which is the same as the majority of models that have move 5. He also has range 2 on his melee attack, so he actually has a 12-inch threat range, which is longer than other models that only are a reach of 1. So really, his slow speed does not, it's not as big of a factor anymore since adding rush. What else does he have? Well, and why are you taking this guy? What makes him so good in Season 1? Well, he's your beater. If you're running a keyword that doesn't have a beater, or maybe your opponent is teching in stuff against your keyword that's going to make your normal beater irrelevant, you can bring in Johan. He's got flurry, so he gets the extra attack. He's got hard to kill, so he's not going to go out in a single attack. He's got the aforementioned rush. Sabotage is very situational, but if you're playing against an enemy that brings a lot of constructs, that'll help you out. Showboating gives you some card cycling at the end of this model's activation. If it cheated fate from its control hand during its activation, it may draw a card. And then we flip him over. That Relic Hammer, 2-inch range, like I said, now only a stat 5. This is not great, but it resists defense. Target suffers 3, 4, 6 damage, ignoring shielded. That is a very nice damage track. And if we look at the trigger on it on a mask, knock aside, push the target 4 inches in any direction. So once again, we're talking about claim jump. We're talking about anything where somebody wants to be somewhere. If they've set up research mission and you still get to go, if you're playing corrupted ley lines, if they're on a symbol of authority, if they're on a recover evidence strategy marker, you can get them off that. He also brings Rebel Yell, 6-inch range. You need a 5 for it. End all conditions on the target. That doesn't say enemy only, that doesn't say friendly only. So you can take off positive conditions on enemies. You can remove negative conditions on friendlies. And so that's very powerful as well. I've played him in one tournament game against Karis. And I was playing Leviticus, and Johan did great. This is back when he was slow, but he just moved up, kept ripping all the fire off of Leviticus, off of Rusty Alice that the opponent kept trying to build up and take them out quick, and they just couldn't do it. His bonus action is, once again, fairly situational. A 4-inch Pulse. You need a 5 for it. Remove all scrap and corpse markers within range. Choose a number of friendly models in this model's line of sight up to the number of removed markers, and each chosen model heals 1. You're not going to want to count on that for healing, but if you're playing against Resurrectionists or Arcanists, somebody that needs scrap markers, needs corpse markers, you can remove all of those in a fairly large bubble, and with the bonus benefit of healing any friendlies within range as well. So that's why I have Johan so high up the list. Just a strong beater that can remove conditions. He's hard to kill. He has rush. He has flurry. The showboating for the card cycling. I think he deserves, and only being 7 stones, no matter what keyword you run him in, I think he deserves to be that high. My number 4 is based a little bit on faith. It is the Midnight Stalker. He cost 8. He's versatile. So that's 8 for any crew you take him in. And I say he's based on faith because I've only got one game in with the Midnight Stalker. I've been playing exclusively Outcast since November, and the quarantine really slowed down my play. But before that, I was getting in a game a week. And I was playing exclusively Outcast, and I only got one game in with Midnight Stalker, and he did not do much for me. He just got shut down and killed right away. But if we look at his card, I think there's a lot of potential there. So he's fairly average stat-wise, 5 defense, 5 willpower, 5 move, size 2. But it's about the special abilities. Manipulative will help keep him alive. It puts attack actions that target this model suffer negative to their duel as long as he is not yet activated. He has Invader, which at the start of this model's activation, if it is on the enemy table half, this model gains fast. And Invader, to me, is really what makes Midnight Stalker. It makes his playstyle. It does everything about him. You want him to get over on the opponent's table half as soon as possible, to be generating fast, getting 3 AP, to be scheming, messing with them, taking out little things here or there. He also has showboating, so that can give you some card cycling. Honorable, this model cannot gain the distracted condition. Enemy models that target this model with attack actions ignore the negative suffered from the distracted condition. Demise Eternal will also help keep him alive. Once per turn after this model is killed, it may discard a card. If it does so, it heals 4. And then Hidden in Plain Sight. Well, not within line of sight of this crew's leader. This model is treated as having the same keywords as this crew's leader. Now, that is going to get you various mileage depending on what crew you run him in. In something like Jackdaw, Torment, that plays a lot. There's a lot of movement involving tormented models, pushing towards, pushing away from tormented models. But then other things, it won't really matter as much. But he does, on the back of his card, to play into Hidden in Plain Sight, he does have Threaten, which is an 8-inch, stat 5, resist willpower. It's he can give out Adversary to a keyword. So he can use Threaten to really soften up a target for either the other members of his crew, or for himself. If he's out of line of sight of the leader, he'll gain that keyword and then have the bonus flips when attacking them gained from Adversary. Now notice it also has a trigger there on your heals. Place this model into base contact with the target. So if he's on the enemy table half, he threatens somebody 8 inches away. You cheat in the mask. You can teleport 8 inches to him, you put adversary on him, and that still leaves 2 attacks to lay into them. Now let's talk about his attacks. Serrated Blade, 1 inch, stat 6, a little higher than average, resist defense. It's only a 2/3/4. It does have crit strike. It has maim, target discards a card. I really don't think this guy is a fighting model, because we look at his bonus action, leap, range 6. Now it's a stat 7, but the mask is not built in, so you need at least a 3 of mask in your hand. Place this model anywhere within range. So if you combine the leap and you combine Invader, Midnight Stalker can cover a lot of ground. And Manipulative will protect him. His Demise will protect him a little bit. And so I really think that's what you use him for. Either there's tons of schemes where you need to be in the opponent's side. There's things like Breakthrough, where you want to get in the deployment zone. Things like Sabotage, interacting with terrain on the opponent's side. Even Catch and Release. The end condition is you want to be on the enemy table half and not engaged, which that leap will really help you out with. Even, of course, spread them out, Runic Binding. But the strategies, Corrupted Ley Lines. Now, he's not going to be able to do the leap because it's a place when he has the Lodestone. But he'll still, once he gets on the enemy's table half, you pass him that Lodestone, and boom, he's fast. He's got all those AP to get where he needs to go. Symbols of Authority, of course, getting over there and interacting with that stuff. So yeah, I think Midnight Stalker, for 8 points, no matter what crew you bring him in, he's got a lot of versatility, he's got a lot of mobility, a lot of AP efficiency between that leap and then going fast. So I think you can really fit him into a lot of strategies and schemes, and that's why he is my number 4. Number 3 is here for consistency, and that is Sue from the Bandit keyword. He cost 8, so he'll be 9 out of keyword. He is a defense 5, willpower 6, move 5, size 2. He's got 8 health. He's got hard to kill, so that's definitely going to be valuable with him not having any amazing defensive abilities. He has Gunfighter, which is good because he doesn't have a melee action, so he can use his shoot actions as melees. Grit, hurt. Well, this model has half of its maximum health or less. It may draw a card at the start of its activation. So that hard to kill is going to keep him from just being bombed out in one action and killed. Grit, you're going to start getting card draw when he's at half or below health. So he's really, Sue, I see him as just being consistently good for your team. He's going to be good on the attack. He's going to be good with card draw. He's going to be good with positioning. He's going to be good with denial. He's got run and gun. This model's charge action may generate projectile actions instead of melee actions. So he's a move 5. His projectile action is a range 12. So that means he has a 17-inch threat range and 1 AP. He also has a Fistful of Script. After this model kills an enemy model, it may drop a ski marker into base contact with the killed model. Now that's going to be some incidental ski marker droppage, but still, it's good just to be dropping schemes all over the board, maybe keep your opponent guessing, or have it be happening for your benefit for one of the schemes you picked, or for some side effects. On the back of his card, consistency. He just has a very consistent ranged weapon, the Collier Revolver, range 12. It's only a stat 5, but it has a built-in ram and a built-in plus flip. So that ram, the target suffers 2/3/4 damage, but the ram is crit strike. So right there, from 12 or 17 inches away on the charge, he's actually doing min 3. And that plus flip is going to help you get past concealment, help you get past manipulative, all those other things. He also has the drop it on a tome, but I really think you're going to be crit striking with Sue and just trying to eliminate enemies. But maybe you would want to drop an enemy ski marker because he has a tactical action, Walk the Line. It's range 8. You need a 6 for it, friendly only. Push the target up to 6 inches toward a scheme, scrap, or corpse marker within 6 and line of sight of it. If the target has below half of its maximum health, this model may draw a card. Now, there's a tome trigger, Cleanse. Remove all scheme, corpse, and scrap markers within pulse 2 of the target. So if you're playing Rezzers, if you're playing Arcanists, people that really want those markers to stay on the board, you have a way of removing them. Ski marker denial from your opponents, and at the same time, depending on who you use it on, you could also be drawing a card, and then you're also just using it for positioning of that friendly model. Now the two bonus actions I think are also good. The first one, the Man in Black, can be exceptional. It is an Aura 3, you need a 5. Both of them you need a 5 for. Until the end phase, enemy models within range cannot declare triggers. That can just absolutely shut down certain models. Defensive triggers, offensive triggers. Sue can get in there, get in his face. He can still shoot him due to gunfighter. If he gets too close, he can be in there putting damage out and just shutting down some really powerful triggers. But depending on the situation, you might want to throw up Ring of Fire as well. It's also a 3-inch aura, also needs a 5. Until the end phase, other models treat the area within range as hazardous, burning +1 terrain, and on a tome, you can get Rising Flames. Enemy models within Pulse 3 of this model suffer 1 damage and gain burning +1. I definitely think the Man in Black there is going to be a more of a game changer, but maybe you need to get a little ping damage going on, and that ping damage mixed with Sue probably landing min 3 damage. I think Sue is just going to be dropping enemies, and when he drops them, he's dropping ski markers, and then you can use those ski markers to reposition your crew or draw more cards. And yeah, I think Sue is just consistent. Whatever you take him in, he can be a thorn in your opponent's side, denying them strats and schemes by just eliminating models and denying some very powerful triggers. So that's number 3, Sue. Number 2 is kind of not fair because this model was designed to be a good enforcer for any Outcast force, and that's the Hodgepodge Emissary. He costs 10, he's versatile. Now, 10, that is expensive, but I think he does enough for any crew in any situation to be worth it. He's defense 6, willpower 6. He's only move 4, but he's not really only move 4. He's a size 3. Now, in some situations, being a bigger size is a negative because you can't hide from line of sight as well. Maybe you can't get certain benefits of cover. But with him, he wants to be able to see his crew. Now, the reason I say that the move 4 is deceptive is because he has move along. Friendly models that start their activation within Aura 3, so that includes him, gain +1 move until the end of their activation. So he's actually a move 5. Friendlies that start within 3 of him gain +1 to move. It's great. You add that with healing droughts. Friendly models that start their activation within Aura 3 heal 1. So once again, that includes him. So he has built-in regen. He'll heal anybody around him. And being move 5, he should be able to keep up with anybody but your faster models. He has manipulative to help keep him alive, and also hard to kill. So you add that to his regen, manipulative, hard to kill. He's going to stay in the game. He's going to stay in the fight for a long time with 10 health and a slightly higher defense and willpower. Now, that's great. The passive movement bonuses, the passive healing. Let's jump right to the good stuff. Tactical action. Plenty of wares. Range 6, so limited range. It's a stat 6 with the tome built in. So you need a 6 to hit this, and the tome is built in. What does this do? Target heals 1, 2, 3. So that's more healing for your crew. Always good. Jackdaw likes that. Leviticus likes that. Hamlin likes that. The Vix like that. Everybody just wants some healing. The built-in tome lets him trigger his something in my pack. He can attach a trinket upgrade to the target. There's 3 of them. Basically, one applies regeneration to a character, one applies Don't Mind Me, and one applies Companion. So that's even more healing. That's the ability to interact with schemes even when engaged, and Companion gives you a little bit of jump in activation if you need it. Now there's also a ram trigger on there, extra supplies. When resolving, the target heals an additional +1. I mean, I don't think that's anywhere near as good as the something in my pack, But if you just happen to flip a ram and your target already has a trinket upgrade, you can go ahead and heal him extra. Now he also, before we get to his attacks, he has one bonus action, Aura of the Lost. I don't think that's really going to come into play. A Weary Road, however, it doesn't cost anything. It's just a 6-inch range. You don't flip a thing. Friendly only. Move the target up to 3 inches, then drop a ski marker into base contact with it. That's absolutely huge. If you're engaged by the enemy, you've already activated, or you don't have Don't Mind Me, this will allow your friendly model to move away 3 and then boom, drop the ski marker. That can really surprise some people if they don't see it coming. And then his attacks definitely aren't what he's here for. I think it's more the throw junk, his projectile. It's a 10-inch range. It's a stat 6 with a crow built in, resist defense. Target suffers 2, 3, 4. But the big thing, that built-in crow is giving you slow. So you're sitting back, you're healing your models, you're giving them extra move, you're giving them regen or Don't Mind Me depending on the strats and schemes, and then you're just slowing down the enemies while doing a little bit of damage. He also, if you need some to misposition an enemy, he has his melee attack, Trampling Hooves. Now it's a 0-inch range, that sucks, but it's a stat 6, resist defense. Target suffers 2, 3, 4 damage and gains injured +1. Place this model anywhere in base contact with the target. He is big, he's on a 50 mil base, so that placement of him can really get your auras out there where you need them to be. And on a mask trigger, it has knock aside. Push the target 4 inches in any direction. Now that was really good in Gaining Grounds Season 0 because there were a lot more strats and schemes that relied on just being somewhere than in Season 1. But that's still going to help you out great with your corrupted ley lines, with even your breakthrough, or just putting somebody in a bad position. So, yep, I know it's kind of an easy pick, but Hodgepodge Emissary, he's just built to help all the Outcasts, and I think they did a pretty good job with him. My number one, and he's actually head and shoulders above everybody else when I was kind of looking at the Enforcers and Outcast. He just does so much and is so hard to get rid of. But it's Ashes and Dust from the Amalgam keyword. Now, he costs 9, so taxing him in, he's going to be 10. But man, he gets a lot done. He's a defense 6, willpower 6, move 7. Extremely fast when you add in the fact that he has Savage Winds. So he ignores terrain and models while moving and is unaffected by hazardous terrain. There is a bonus there too if there's a scrap marker. He can remove it to do some little ping damage, 1 damage at a time. Speaking of ping damage, he also has a defense trigger, defense willpower on a tome, unmade. That's going to, after resolving, the attacking model suffers 1 irreducible damage. Also entropy, enemy models that start their activation within Aura 3 suffer 1 damage. So he's pinging you down. He has nihilism, so he can discard a card to not gain conditions, which is huge against certain masters like McMorning and Karis who really want to play that condition game. He can just ignore it. And we'll get to that demise ability after we take a look at him. So his attack is Deadly Claws, 1-inch range, stat 6, resist defense, 2, 4, 5. So it spikes up on the end there of the damage track, and then the triggers can just really help it. If he gets a crow, this model may suffer up to 2 damage. When resolving, target suffers +1 damage per damage suffered when declaring this trigger. Now, if you know anything about Ashes and Dust, he doesn't care about taking damage. He doesn't care about dying. So that's an easy min 4 if you get that crow every time. Or if you're using him more for running schemes, you can get the mass trigger if you have it. Like the Wind, push this model up to 5 inches in any direction, ignoring other models. So Ashes and Dust, with that Savage Winds, that move 7, he's just fast. He'll get across the board, and if you do manage to kill him, his demise, Desolate Core. After this model is killed, it is replaced with an Ashen Core. Then the new model heals 6. Summon a Dust Storm into base contact with any table edge and at least 6 inches away from the enemy deployment. So if you kill this model, you then get 2 models in return. And I have wanted him to die before because I wanted to leave a model in that position and summon the Dust Storm somewhere else. So looking at the Dust Storm honestly would have made this list if he was hireable. He's a cost 6, amalgam keyword, defense 6, willpower 5, move 7. He's incorporeal. He's hard to wound. With 5 health, you're not just gonna get him off the table real quick with incorporeal and hard to wound. And he's also extremely fast. He has the entropy. He has unmade. His melee is almost the same. Stat 6, 2, 4, 5. It has like the wind. It has healing on it. Consuming touch 1, 2, 3. And of course, if he gets next to a friendly Ashen Core, it'll gain shielded, and they can bring Ashes and Dust right back in the game again. So the way you play Ashes and Dust is you have him just control a side. You don't want him to really get in the middle because you want Dust Storm to be able to initiate that transformation again, and you'll just eat up other scheme runners, other flankers in the game, or you can go and score all those schemes and stress that need you to be on the other side of the opponent's table. He's just so fast, so hard to get rid of. If you do kill him, Dust Storm by himself can do a lot of damage, and that's why Ashes and Dust gets my top pick. I want to thank everybody for watching the video, sticking with me for this almost an hour long ride. So yeah, we're going to keep making videos covering different games, different subjects. And remember, when your back's against the wall, fuck the objective, everything dies.